This podcast is sponsored by nobody. Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I am so excited because I will be talking to the multi-talented, multifaceted Canadian character actress Sara Botsford. Oh my god, she's been in so many great films. She's been in a lot of Canadian horror films from the 80s like Murder by Phone, she'll be my second guest from that, and Deadly Eyes, she'll be my third guest from that, but she's also been in a lot of mainstream classics like Still of the Night, Jumpin Jack Flash. That's where I first saw her. I mean, she's got that authentic British accent in the movie, and I literally thought she was British, and she could pass as one too. She's just so talented. And she was also in Legal Eagles, and she was on a series called ECN. She'll be my second guest from that. The first guest, Mary Beth Rubens, who I had on a few weeks ago, she's connecting me with Sara. So it's really exciting that I get to talk to both of them this month. And Sara has just done so much. It's going to be a great talk today, and I can't wait. Also, God, I hate being negative. I really do, but there's a couple podcasters out there. As of just a little while ago, they're out to sabotage me. There's three podcasts that I used to listen to. I'm not going to listen to them anymore. They are calling me creepy and sleazy and just being so damn rude. And one of them I actually had a pleasant interaction with for a while until they frickin' did something really disrespectful. I connected them with somebody, and instead of crediting me to it, they acted like they did all themselves. They didn't give me any fucking credit for it. And this other podcaster that I tried to get on the show, she tried to gaslight me and bullshit me and all that stuff. And, you know, I told her, you know, fuck you, all this shit, blah, blah, blah. And then she's fucking screenshot it, and then she sent it to that podcasting group. And then there's another podcasting group I listen to. They've barely ever interacted with me, and they've talked a lot of shit about me, and I'm so friggin' pissed off about it that I'm just at my wit's end. You know, I'm not going to listen to their podcasts ever again, and I'm never going to frickin' try to be friends with podcasters again other than Greg Gilbert, because he's real and authentic, you know, and also Curtis Lane Close on Retro Zest. They're not competitive or jealous. I don't know what it is, you know, with certain podcasters. They just think that they're better than others, you know. This is not, you know, a team sport. This is, you know, a community. We're a small community. Let's come together whether we agree or disagree, and just try to be nice to one another, you know. I just don't like, you know, gaslighting and all that crap. And that's it. I'm going to get off my soapbox for right now, but if I have to say more about it later, I will. And I hope a lot of you did not tune out just now. So yeah, here is my interview with Sara Botsford. Hey Sara, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm okay, Tommy. How are you?
I am fantastic, and I can't tell you what an honor this is. Thank you so much for taking the time today. I'm so glad that Mary Beth could connect us.
Yeah, absolutely. You're in San Francisco?
Yes, I'm in Modesto.
Oh, and how's the weather up there today? Okay?
Today it's nice and hot. It's been very rainy the last few weeks, and I thank God that today the weather's nice.
Yeah. I was just out in Palm Springs area.
Right.
Because it had been pouring with rain here, and I went up there for a couple of days. It was gorgeous coming back. Absolutely gorgeous. So there you go. Maybe we're out of the winter rain, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. So, going back in time, did you gravitate toward acting early on in your childhood?
I would say I made a deal when I was apparently in the first grade that I had the only male doll in town, and I said they could use it to play Jesus as long as I got to be the Virgin Mary. And they went for it, and I guess I probably was bitten then. which uh, seems insane now. But yeah, I think I sort of had a bug very early on, but I wouldn't have been exposed to it a great deal, not professionally at least. It's not like growing up in a city and being exposed to a lot of theater and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I had an excellent teacher. I went to a one-room schoolhouse in Northern Ontario, and our teacher, it was her school. She had come from England, and she would walk up and down the aisles of this. We were, one-room school, so it was 6 grades, 5 grades in one room.
Mm-hmm.
Walk up and down the aisles with a black strap behind her hands and in a black suit and scowling at everybody. And that was when I first met her. But then I had her again in high school, and she was putting on plays and doing, Gilbert and Sullivan and stuff like that. And so I got to do a Gilbert and Sullivan with her, and I think that's when I really went, oh, okay, I think I want to do this,
Yeah. So you got involved in school plays and community theater and all of that?
I didn't do any community theater. I did school plays while I was in high school, and then I auditioned for York University and went straight into sort of acting school then.
Nice. So you're born and raised in Dobie, Ontario?
Yes, I was.
I've talked to a lot of people from Canada, obviously, but like Dobie, Ontario, yeah, I haven't talked to anybody from there.
Well, there were only about 130 of us altogether, so it's not surprising. It was 3 streets, a general store, a one-room schoolhouse, the general store combined with the gas station. There was really absolutely nothing there. It was a tiny, tiny little mining community outside of Kirkland Lake.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So after high school, did you attend college?
Yes, I went to York University and took theater, and then stayed there until I didn't finish it because I got a job at Stratford Festival, and for some reason they had a policy back then, something along the lines of that they really discouraged doing professional theater while you were in school.
Mm-hmm.
It was confusing to me, but I opted to go and do it, and then didn't return to York University after that.
And did you have any classmates that you studied with in acting?
Sorry, did I have any what?
Any classmates that we would know that went on to be successful?
Oh, yeah, Barbara Budd, who was on CBC Radio for a long, long time. And Rosemary Dunsmore, who's a pretty well-known Canadian actress. They were my class. Yeah.
Rosemary Dunsmore, wow. Yeah, she's a very talented lady.
Yeah. And Jeff Cohen was in our class as well. He was predominantly a television producer and writer. I'm thinking who else was in our class that's probably, I think, the only people that you would know, I think.
Yeah. So did you do any theater in those days that stand out that you're proud of?
Well, I was at Stratford for a couple of seasons, and I did one season. No, I guess I did one season to start off in '73, mm-hmm. And then I've done theater in Canada, all over the place, and in the States as well. Mm-hmm. I did a lot of theater, and I would still do a lot of theater. I haven't done any for a few years, but I did eventually become we directed, my partner and I had a theater company in Los Angeles, and we did plays, Canadian plays, for a U.S. audience for 10 years, which we directed and produced, which was a lot of fun. But I did Stratford and a bunch of stuff in Toronto, and did a play on Broadway, and lots of stuff off Broadway, and all over the regionals. Did a lot of theater.
Nice. One of your earliest roles was in the TV movie Crossbar, which I think was Kim Cattrall's first movie. How was that experience?
Oh yeah, that was I think that was my was it my first movie as well, or second maybe? No, I think Fighting Men was my first movie that Don Shabib directed. Yeah, Crossbar. I wasn't in it that much. It was a lot of fun. My recollection of it was that it was a lot of fun, and beyond that, I don't remember much about it.
Yeah. You're at the arcade and you're giving the nerdy guy a hard time for ruining your duck hunting game, and like, because you secretly like him, and then later on you two end up dancing at the little banquet later.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Yeah, I don't. It's. I think I had just gotten an agent, and that was very, very early days.
Yeah. Yeah. The great Kate Reed was in it too.
Where did you find that?
I saw it on YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, you could find the most obscure stuff on YouTube, and I thank God for that, because, back in the day I used to find the most obscure stuff on VHS, but nowadays, I could find it on YouTube, which is fantastic.
Right.
And sometimes there'll be stuff that I can't find, unfortunately, but, occasionally you'll find those gems. Do you remember anything, though, about Kim Cattrall?
I don't remember a lot about Kim. I have sort of stand-up memories. It was Brent, I think, played the guy, didn't he? Did Brent have played it?
The guy?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Was it Brent Carver?
That's what I thought, but maybe I'm wrong. I remember being out at Mary's Quarry for some reason with the actual man about whom the story was. And it was based on a real story, that high jumper, right?
Yeah.
And I remember being out at St. Mary's Quarry with him, and him hopping up sitting on the grass and hopping up, dropping his jeans and his leg, and hopping down to the water and jumping in. I remember it being quite astonishing what he could do. He was an extraordinary athlete, a young man. But I don't remember very much about the actual shooting of the film or I just remember Kim as this sweet young gal. That's all I remember, basically.
Yeah. I love By Design. It is such an underrated movie. I own a rare VHS copy of it on Thorn MI Video. How was making that movie?
That movie was kind of extraordinary for the time.
Yeah.
And it was Claude Jutreau's last movie, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And he was an amazing filmmaker. It was again an odd situation because his primary language or first language is French, and all of ours is English, and so there's always that making sure we understand each other, making sure we actually we're on the same page in terms of what you're going for. It was a lot of fun to make. It was very Paul Rubinek and Patty Dukas. She was fantastic, and I was a huge fan of hers because of Miracle with her and stuff like that from way back in the day. So that was really fun to work with her and to just to be around her, how she comported herself on the set, and she was very, very interesting. It was a great learning experience.
Yeah, does she become like a mentor to you?
Not per se, no, but it was just interesting to. She had so much experience, and I had so little experience, and it was just fascinating to be. All our scenes were together, so it was. We spent an awful lot of time together, so it was just great to have the opportunity to see how she handled the set and handled herself and got the things that she wanted and, you know, did it very tactfully and, you know, she was a pro. She was a real pro. It was just fascinating to see as a young actor, to learn, oh yeah, I could ask for that. No, I don't need to do that. And I can have my own point of view here. And it was really fascinating.
Yeah, and you also had young Saul Rubinek in there. He's very talented as well.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, it was a very ahead of its time movie, I have to say.
Oh, it certainly was. It really was. I mean, it's unfortunate it didn't come out, you know, 5 or 10 years later. It might have gotten some legs. But yeah, I think it was very ahead of its time.
Yeah, I love Murder by Phone. You're my second guest from it. I've talked to Lenore Zan. And of course, she's got that Mickey Mouse telephone in the movie that ends up killing her.
Oh, yeah.
Anything stand out about that movie?
Other than Richard Chamberlain?
Yeah.
No, that's pretty much the standout there.
Yeah, I mean, of course, he was a big TV star in the 60s, and he's a very handsome guy, so he must have been great to work with.
He was fantastic. He was very, very funny and very charming and made it all very easy. And we had to do, you know, we had pretty intimate scenes together and stuff, and he made that all just as easy as pie. It was just, he was fantastic. It was really fun.
Yeah. And, of course, legendary John Houseman.
Oh, yeah, my favorite thing about John Houseman, we were talking about, I can't even remember what it was. We were talking about a film that I had auditioned for that, who was the actress who got the job? She was a model, very famous model, Lauren Hutton.
Lauren Hutton, yeah.
Yeah, I think she got the job. And we were talking about it, and I said, yeah, it was some big Western movie, and she was supposed to be some tough, gun-slinging type of gal. And I said, yeah, he said I was too small or something. I wasn't big enough for it. He said, what are you talking about? You're a huge girl. oh, okay, thank you. Excellent. Good to know. Just the sort of thing you want to hear as a young actress, you know?
Yeah.
Perceived. Okay. But, yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. And it was, that was a movie that my agent at the time, Stan Colbert, I think Richard Chamberlain had casting approval, so he took me to Los Angeles with him to meet Richard Chamberlain. And I was, you know, at the Lake, Ontario, and so we got there, and we're about to go to this meeting, and I remember him saying, did you bring other clothes, or just the jeans and sweatshirt? No, why? Isn't this okay? Sure. And a brush? Did you bring a brush? Oh, no, well, I didn't know we were going to be in convertibles and stuff. Like, I was so naive, it was just ridiculous. And I just said, okay, no, I'm going to meet this guy. It didn't occur to me I had to impress him or anything like that.
Yeah.
I thought maybe we'd have to read together or something, so I'd have to be on my toes for that. But it never occurred to me any other part of it, which probably was to my advantage when all was said and done. But yeah, I just remember that very funny trip. And
yeah.
All right.
And also too, Michael Anderson directed, and he directed the world Around the World in 80 Days back in the 50s.
Yes, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, was he good to work with?
Yes. Again, that was my first big professional movie scene, and so it was. I had very little contact with him, my job was stand on your mark, say your lines, don't mess it up. I didn't have it's not like we were having in-depth conversations or, I was, do as you're told. And
Yeah.
I remember on that film being in my Winnebago, which would have been the first time I'd had a Winnebago. And I'm sitting in the Winnebago thinking, this is boring, and thinking, maybe I'll go get something to eat or something.
Yeah.
And opening my door, and, two ADs there. She's leaving me a Winnebago. Excuse me, where are you going? I'm going to craft services. What do you need? I couldn't move without them being there, which I was completely unfamiliar with up until that point. And I remember just being so like, oh, okay. This is how this goes. Yeah, it was very surprising.
Yeah.
It's fun though. It's going to be fun. Mainly because of Richard Chamberlain, though. That's right.
Yeah, and he strikes me as kind of a technical director, more so than talking to actors. It seems like he's more focused on the technical aspect of filmmaking. If you look at his body of work.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably true.
Yes, and you looked so gorgeous in this movie. The way your hair was done was great.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, it was very 80s. Yeah. Absolutely.
I love Deadly Eyes. You're my third guest from it. I've talked to Lisa Langlois and Leslie Donaldson. How was that experience?
I can honestly say that was one of the goofiest filming experiences I've ever had. I mean, I was in New York and I flew to Toronto in February and was told, okay, we're going to be doing this. You're playing opposite Sam Groom, which was fun, and you're going to do A, B, C, and D, and now you're going to be in the subways of Toronto at 4 o'clock in the morning with the rats, which are in fact dachshunds in rat costumes, and there's a very serious crew of Los Angeles dog trainers there blowing their whistles and making sure that the dogs are all behaving, and you'd be standing there with this group of, like a large group of dachshunds running towards you, and then one of them would sit down to scratch his backside, and you'd be going, okay, no, that doesn't look very rat-like. Okay. I mean, it was absurd. Them falling over in their costumes, and it was just absurd. And you're trying to keep a straight face through this whole thing and act terrified, and, steroid-fed rats, they're all so big and scary, and oh my Lord, it's hilarious, really hilarious.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was. I think it was either Lisa or Leslie. One of them, maybe it was even both of them, who knows, told me that, back then, because there was no internet, they didn't know who Robert Klaus was, right? But when they found out later that he had directed Enter the Dragon, one of them was like so happy because one of them's a big fan of that movie, and I am too. It's one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time, Enter the Dragon.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't remember interacting. I remember very clearly the interactions with the dog trainers, and don't do this and don't do that, and make sure, and don't respond to this and all of that stuff. But I don't remember a lot of interaction beyond that. I also remember very clearly Scatman Crothers and him coming out of his Winnebago and thinking, wow, that's hello. He was fantastic.
I thank God for Jack Nicholson, because he gave Scatman a huge comeback, and casted him in a lot of his movies, and then pretty soon everybody was casting Scatman.
Yep. Yeah. No, and he was clearly just there to have a good time, too. He was not.
Was there a lot of real rats?
Oh, no, not a single one.
Oh, good.
Oh, God, no. It was all dog food, and dog food being lobbed all over the floor to get them to do what they were supposed to do. And, yeah, no toxins. Oh, it's absurd.
Yeah.
But it had a resurgence, didn't it, recently? Didn't it have a big thing in Toronto or something?
What was that?
Didn't Deadly Eyes have a big resurgence recently? Wasn't there a kind of a moment of I don't know. I feel like it played somewhere. Either maybe there was some film festival in Toronto or something that it played at.
Maybe. I mean, it is a cult favorite. You know, I know a lot of people who like it, so maybe it did. I don't know. Were you comfortable during your sex scene?
No,
No.
no. That was it's unfortunate would be an understatement. It's one of those things. If it happened today, there would be a lot of pushback and things. But back then, as an inexperienced actor, I mean, we had very clear parameters of what was supposed to be happening there, and what did happen was not what was supposed to be happening. And but I didn't know they were shooting without sound, and so I'm going, whoa, wait a second. No, we didn't agree to this. And then, cut, carry on, do it again, blah, blah, blah. But when I went to do the looping on the movie, the ADR, suddenly that scene is there, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And at the time, I called my agent, and I went, this is not okay. We did not agree to this, and this is not okay. And the response was, I think you should not say anything because hardly anyone will ever see this movie, and if you make a fuss about it, those images will be on public display everywhere. And so that was how I was told to handle it.
Wow.
Interesting, right? Yeah.
I'm sorry you went through that. God, that's awful. You couldn't even get a body double for the part when the nipple went hard or anything.
No, they didn't. There wasn't. It wasn't. There was no question of that because it was already. It had been pre-agreed on the contract that there wasn't supposed to be anything showing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they did the scene, it went where it went, and the actor went where the actor went, and that's when I went no. Now, had I known better at the time, I would have messed the shot up by waving my hand or something. But I assumed by saying that was enough, and I didn't realize they weren't shooting the sound, so they used it anyway. No,
Yeah.
It was very cheeky, very wrong, and it's the way it was handled at the time was also wrong, and I just went, yep, okay, put that away and never think about it again, basically.
That's the only nude scene you ever did in a movie?
I believe so. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think so. I think that's right.
Yeah. Then you do Still of the Night, a very underrated thriller with Roy Scheider. What was he like to work with?
Oh, he was great. He was a lot of fun. And one of those people that it was fascinating because it was Meryl Streep and Roy Scheider, and Roy Scheider was a movie actor, absolutely a movie actor. And you'd watch him, with his tanning thing out at lunchtime, tanning his face, and you'd hear the conversations about the length of his shirt collar, that he knew exactly what the camera was seeing, exactly, and that's what he concerned himself with. And he was fantastic. He was, you just went, okay, that's all right. And Meryl Streep was an absolutely brilliant actress.
Mm-hmm.
She would be concerned about things that she was saying and the context and content of a scene and all of that. But it was a real lesson to go, oh, see, he didn't seem to care about that. And then you see it on the screen and you go, oh, see, I get it. He just knew exactly what the camera was going to see and grab, It was fascinating.
Yeah.
It was,
And the great director Robert Benton directed it. God, that guy was so good, I have to say.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Very underrated. He did Kramer versus Kramer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Places in the Heart.
He was great. The whole experience of that was really fantastic. A few years later, I was auditioning for, okay, now his name's going to go right out of my head. Okay, who did Psycho?
The original Psycho?
Yeah.
Alfred Hitchcock.
No, the actor.
Oh, Anthony Perkins.
Anthony Perkins. I'm doing an audition for Anthony Perkins, and he's looking at me, and I'm doing something or other. I'm reading, blah, blah, blah. And he stops me and he goes, "Can I ask you something?" I went, "Yeah." "What were you thinking?" When? When? "In Still of the Night. What were you thinking?" I went, "Oh, when?" He said, "When you said jump." I went, "I was thinking, oh my God, this is goofy. Is anybody ever going to buy this?" And he said, "You scared me to death." I went, "Whoa, okay, I'll take that." The idea of being able to scare Tony Perkins. Okay, yay. Anyway,
Yeah.
that was fun.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah.
Then you did one of Kevin Costner's earliest lead roles, the Gun Runner. I used to own this on VHS. So I've seen it many, many times. How was that experience?
Well, other than using my non-determinate European accent, it was. I remember saying to Kevin, who was at that point in his career, he had movie scripts back to his ceiling in his hotel room,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just at that point. I think he had done Big Chill. I think he had done and something else. He was just in that place where everything was going to break wide open, and here he was in Montreal doing this movie, and he was lovely, but he was very, very serious. And I remember us being about to do some scene, and he was asking the director several times about his entrance and stuff like that. And I finally went up to him and said, "So here's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
What they get in the can is what they're going to release.
Yeah.
And we don't have time for this. We just don't have time for it." Because he said, "There's going to be reshoots." I said, "No, they're not. No, they're not. This is a low-budget Canadian movie, and there won't be reshoots. So, honestly, whatever we manage to get in the can is what they're going to put. They're going to glue it together, and that's going to be the movie." And he went, "Oh, okay." And he was, he was fun, and he was very young in his career. It was very early days, and I think he knew it was all happening around the corner.
Yeah. It didn't come out until at the same time Field of Dreams came out, which is bizarre. But when this movie was being made, he had just done The Big Chill, which he was cut from. He played the dead friend.
Yeah.
And he's in a flashback sequence, actually, in the DVD of it. And did you know then that he had that spark that he was going to become an iconic star someday?
Oh, 100%. 100%. You knew because not only because he had the stack of movie scripts in his hotel up to the ceiling. Everybody and their dog was sending him stuff at that point. You just knew it was just around the corner.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're great at playing a noir femme fatale character, like Lauren Bacall or Barbara Stanwyck. You played it like them to a T, and you were very well dressed. I hope they let you keep those dresses.
I don't think so. If they had, I probably wouldn't have taken them because it wouldn't have been my personal style at all.
Yeah. Well, you could have kept them for Halloween or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You did an ABC after school special, The Hand Me Down Kid. Anything stand out about that?
It stands out to me that you even know about that, but let's see. I did it with somebody fun.
Tracy Gold, Tracy Gold, who later did Growing Pains, and Elizabeth Ward, Terry O'Quinn, Corey Parker, who I've interviewed, nice guy. People like that.
What's Quentin's first name?
Robert Mandel directed it.
No, I'm sorry. The actor, you said Quinn?
Oh, yeah, Terry O'Quinn.
Terry O'Quinn. Terry O'Quinn was great. That's what I really remember about that. He was really funny. He was really direct and straightforward and confident and calm, and one of those people that you just go, oh yeah, that he makes it easy as pie. No drama, no nothing. I do remember I remember sitting there watching the kids and thinking, oh God, it would be a hard job as a kid to, remember when your dog died? Try to get the kids to be teary when on cue and stuff like that. Yeah, but it was actually fun to do, and predominantly because of Terry. He was great.
Yeah, and wow, Judy Engels co-wrote this. I've talked to her. She was one of the girls that Harold's mother tries to fix him up with in Harold and Maude.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, and her and Bud Cort were actually a comedy team just before that movie, and she got in that movie because of him.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, funny coincidence. The Equalizer you guest starred, and I actually talked to Paige Price, who was also in that episode, the blonde girl. J.T. Walsh was in that episode. Do you remember anything about doing that?
I only remember Edward Woodward.
Yeah.
You know what they used to call him?
What?
Old fart in the bathtub.
Oh.
Because of the name, Edward Woodward. I just remember it being, yeah. I remember, I have vague recollection of. No, I just remember it being. It was fine and straightforward, and we didn't have much contact with him. He was just doing his thing. I think I was guest star number 497,000 or something. So.
And it was shot in New York, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Legal Eagles, I haven't seen this movie in years. Who did you play in that?
I played Redford's wife.
Oh, okay, yes. Jennifer Dundas's mother in it as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what was that experience like?
I had done Sundance before that.
Mm-hmm.
So I had met Redford before.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't quite as alarming as it might have been. Yeah, again, that was, it's a mega movie. You're playing a small part. I mean, there's not a lot of time to do anything other than get on set, say your lines, and get off.
Yeah.
No way. It was fine. It was fun. It was, I do remember it being, there were a lot of big personalities on that. Deborah Winger was on that.
Daryl Hannah, and of course...
Daryl Hannah, oh yeah.
And, Brian Dennehy, yeah, and of course Ivan Reitman. He's coming off of Ghostbusters, and this is the first non Saturday Night Live Second City production type of production that he ever did. I mean, he produced a lot of Cronenberg's early horror movies in Canada, but other than that, this was like the first time he broke away.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yes, I remember all of that. It was, it was, again, it was a lot of observing interesting behavioral choices, and I think Deborah Winger in those days was not being called by things other than her character name.
Yeah.
That I remember Daryl Hannah being in the makeup hair room with her partner at the time, kind of hanging out, who was mega musician at the time, and thinking, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that was, show up, do your thing, and try not to get into trouble, and please don't be the guy who can't remember your lines on the day,
Yeah. And Jennifer, she was probably like 14 at the time. I'm going to be having her on pretty soon.
All right.
Yeah, was she good to work with?
I honestly do not remember that. I just don't remember that. It wasn't stand out to me, of the things that I would have been thinking about on that film production. That would have been probably not chief among them. I mean, it was predominantly about, the only thing it had to do was, I'm the person that somehow is in conflict with Redford, and, that's mainly what the thrust of the thing was.
Yeah. I love the scene where Redford imitates Gene Kelly in Singing in the Rain. It's pretty funny. Now, the first time I saw you, it was in Jumpin Jack Flash, and I really thought you were British. Like, your accent is so uncannily dead on, and you have a British look to you. Like, how did you come to be cast as Lady Sara?
I auditioned for it. I think by then I had done a lot of British stage work and stuff. So I think at the time, if the requirement would have been, can you do a British accent? Well, yeah, I can. In those days they were not quite so fond of just bringing over the Brits as they are now. So yeah, having a British accent, I would have auditioned for it and just got it through those channels.
Yeah, I mean, God, I really thought you were British, and that salon scene is just hilarious. The way that Whoopi, after she's been given that truth serum, just the way she's just running wild and playing, like she's high so brilliantly. I can imagine she probably ad-libbed a lot and cracked up the entire crew.
What year was that? Do you remember?
86.
Yeah, okay, so I had done The Real Thing on Broadway in 84, and then I'd done it on the national tour in 85, and she was doing her one-woman Broadway show when we were doing The Real Thing in 84. And I remember I had gone to see it. Mike Nichols had some connection with her show, and so I had gone to see it and gone to see her, and she was, all the rage at that time. And then I got cast to do this movie, and I was like, whoa, okay. It was an interesting experience. It wasn't, I don't know. It wasn't a typical film experience. Like her involvement was not typical. She didn't come up through the ranks as a film actor. She had a huge career other than that, and I just remember it being. I don't remember a tremendous amount about shooting it. Again, it was a mega movie in terms of how big a part I was playing and all of that stuff. And really the job in this is get in there, do your job, don't make a mess, and leave,
Yeah.
I don't have strong memories of it.
Yeah, I talked to Penny Marshall's daughter, Tracy, when I first started the podcast and stuff, and I told her how much I love this movie, and I think your performance is great. That look you give her before you leave her apartment after she thanks you and tells you that you're quite a lady. It's so heartbreaking because she knows what she's doing is wrong, but she has to save herself by throwing Whoopi's character Terry under the bus and everything. You did some fine acting there, Sara.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and the guy who plays the security guard that tries to stop her from going into that private room in the salon, that was Carl LeBeau. He passed away a couple years ago, but I talked to him before he died. He was Sam Kinnison's best friend. They were both stand-up comedians together, and Penny Marshall dated Sam Kinnison for a short time. That's how he got in the movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Put that together. That's wow.
Yeah, Penny took Whoopi to the Comedy Store one night and saw Carl on stage, and she's like, "Yes, yes, cast him in anything," you know. And Carl told me, he says he has never worked with somebody more brilliant than Whoopi, and just the way she, you know, improvised in that little moment that they had and everything. So
Right.
I've
Yeah.
yeah, I've never seen the series ENG, but Mary Beth and I, you know, we talked briefly about it a couple weeks ago. So this was like a news journalism show. It was about.
Electronic news gathering, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it ran for 5 years, and
Yeah.
it was fantastic in the days when we were doing 22 a year, so 96 episodes of it. And it was, yeah, it was a fantastic experience. It was a very, it was a terrific cast and really good directors and great producers. Jeff King predominantly as the main producer on it, and you know, obviously Robert Lantos. It was Atlantis. But it was a very fun show to do.
The creator Brad Markowitz, is he related to Riff and Mitch Markowitz?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I had Mitch on a few years ago. Him and his brother Riff, they created that show, The Hilarious House of Dr. Frightenstein.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Not sure what his.
that was a popular show in Canada, and it's a cult show here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And Andrea Roth was on ECN. What was she like?
When she was on that, very young, very good, very. I don't remember. She was playing Mark Humphrey's other half. I can't remember exactly. Yeah, no, from what I remember, you know, terrific young actress.
You did a great episode of The Outer Limits. It was kind of like a Rosemary's Baby with religion type of story. And you worked with Samantha Mathis. I've had her on, and I met her in person once. What was she like to work with?
Okay, wait. Now you've stumped me. The Outer Limits. What is that?
The Outer Limits. It was a horror sci-fi anthology show. It was popular in the 60s, and then they rebooted it on Showtime in the 90s, which is what you were on. And yeah, Samantha Mathis, she has a baby she's expecting. You're the nurse that like helps her at the beginning, and David Ogden Stiers is a corrupt priest who's doing a government experiment of having, you know, a dead baby of the past, you know, resurrecting inside of her or something like that. It was a bizarre premise.
That's a bizarre premise. I can barely remember that. When you say the title, I go, oh yeah, I know I did that, but my brain is going,
Yeah. I get it. You've done so many credits, you can't keep track of everything you did. I know. Do you remember playing Harriet Nelson?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Did you do a lot of research on how to play her?
I did because I was asked to audition for it, and I did an audition, which I thought isn't right. I went to the in LA. I went to the television movie museum and watched some episodes of her. Watched you know, that show,
Mm-hmm.
and then I did the audition, and Stuart Patterson was directing it.
Right.
And then I went home and it was with my friend of mine at the time, and I said, "Can you just take me, just film me doing this? I'm just going to do some stuff." And I just did this crazy improv, getting cookies out of the oven and having a drink and talking and being her in her just crazy mode. And I sent that in, and he actually cast me. So yeah, it was a lot of fun to do. It was fun.
Yeah, oh God, I have talked to a lot of old actors who guest starred on Ozzie and Harriet. And they all tell me Harriet had just the dirtiest mouth in the world.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true.
Yeah, oh my God, I love that. I love that though. I love that about her.
Yeah.
But there's another series you did. I never saw, but I'm intrigued because I love old Hollywood. It was called The Lot.
Well, the lot was great. The lot was good for AMC
Mm-hmm.
and was shot on the old lot down at the 20th Century, down on Venice Boulevard, off Venice Boulevard there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fantastic. It was a really good, fun show, really fun to do. Had a lot of fabulous people in it.
Yeah.
And I got to play the the diva, the aging diva. But when I was asked to audition for it, they asked me to play the makeup artist. And they asked me to audition for the makeup artist. And I went, I read it, and I called my agent, and I said, it's not the right part for me. And they were like, oh, yeah, no, that's what they want to see. And I said, no, it's not the right part for me. They're not going to cast me in that part. And so she said, well, what do you think is right for you? And I said, the diva, that's the aging diva, that's the one that's right. I said, okay. And so I went in and he said, well, you tell them when you get there. So I did. And they went, really? And I went, yeah, really. And I'm really sure it's just not the right part for me. They said, okay, well, go ahead. So I auditioned for it, and I got the part. But it was, it was really, really fun to do. It was, yeah.
I'd like to see it if it ever comes back. Yeah, I think the reason why I didn't see it was because I stopped watching AMC by the late 90s because they started showing newer movies and calling them classics, which I just thought it was a total disservice to the network, because they showed all the black and white classics, for years before that. And those channels are going away. I mean, the only ones we have now is like Turner Classic Movies,
Yeah. Well, it's worth seeing it, I mean, from the point of view of, Linda Cardellini was in it in a huge part. Linda Cardellini was playing the ingenue, and she was unbelievably brilliant in it, playing this ingenue from that period. And her language and rhythm and everything was just absolutely spot on. She was brilliant in it. Michael York was in it. We had an episode with Michael York where he was supposed to be playing a corpse in some nonsensical, thing we were doing, and some movie thing. And the cast, we did our level best to make him laugh, and it was all he could do. He would be there just shaking with laughter. It was hilarious. It was really fun. This was Linda before she did Freaks and Geeks. Way back in the day. Holland Taylor was in it. Stephanie Pharisee was in it. Fantastic cast.
Yeah, Holland Taylor's very talented.
Oh, Holland Taylor's fabulous. Rue McClanahan was in it for a while.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, no, it was really something. They played Hedda Hopper and Luella Parsons, or, people based on them. That was Rue McClanahan and Holland. So that was really fun.
Oh, that's awesome. And were you guys shooting in LA, or did you go up to Canada or something?
Oh, no, we shot in LA. We all shot on the 20th Century lot.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really, really fun to do.
How was making Tremors 4?
Another very fun movie. Very silly. I just did last year. They did a Tremors Film Festival in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and okay, here you go with my mind going, okay, what's the guy's name who did?
Michael Gross?
No, I know Michael Gross well, but Michael had said, can anybody come down and do this? They're going to show all of them, and they had never shown Tremors 4, the one I did, on the big screen. It was a straight to DVD movie. So I thought, oh, well, that'll be fun. So we all went down to this big film festival, and it was hilarious. I mean, the number of people who showed up for this thing, and like big fans, like and knowing lines, like saying the movie along with the movie, and it was really, really fun. It was a fun movie to shoot.
Yeah, I mean the first one got such a huge following because it had Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward and Gross. He was in it as well. Yeah. And J.E. Freeman was in the one you were in.
Who was?
J.E. Freeman. He played the old Fred.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they would. It was really, really fun to do. Yeah, it was great.
How about the remake of The Fog?
Well, that was an experience. Okay, I was playing. Who was the young actress who was in that? Who went on to have a bunch of series and things?
Oh, Maggie Grace.
Yeah, I think it was Maggie Grace. Yeah, I was playing her mother, and my whole part was supposed to be, she's come home and I'm annoyed with her and angry and blah blah blah. At any rate, so I played it that way, and then after they asked me to come and loop the part, and they kept saying, "You have to be a lot nicer. You have to be a lot nicer." I guess they didn't want you to have to blow me out the window, so they wanted it to be a surprise or something. And I'm going, my line is, "I hate you, get out of the house, never come back again." You want me to play that warmly? That's what we're going for? Okay. Like, it was really, it was an odd experience. It was like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to turn this person into a nice person. And then glaring at her, so looping it's going to help. I don't think that's going to help, but okay. Anyway, I don't know. It was goofy. And
the original Fog holds a great place in my heart because it was shot in my hometown. It was shot pretty close to it. It was up in Pacifica, California, over there. And I've been over there where it was shot too. It still looks the same and everything.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think the reason that a lot of people thought, "Oh yeah, let's do this," is because what the first one was so great.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I didn't particularly care for the remake, but it was great seeing you in it, I have to say.
It was, yeah, I think it was the first time I think that I had gotten, oh well, no, I guess still the night I got kind of killed in that too, didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you directed a horror movie called Dead Innocent. How did you come to direct?
I was doing something that escapes me in Montreal, and I was asked if I would be interested in directing, and I went, yeah, absolutely, I would. And so they said, okay, well, come and direct this movie. And amazingly, that at the time, it was Black Box Productions, and they were out of Montreal, and they were trying not to use telefilm money. So they were trying to be independent filmmakers for real in Canada. And I thought it was pretty impressive. And, yeah, so we got Graham Greene and Jean-Pierre Peugeot, and, did this movie in February in Montreal. It's cold. And it was fun. It was, it was first time out, so there was it was a big learning curve for me. But it was certainly fun to do.
Yeah, I can imagine directing is a lot harder than acting.
Yeah, well, yes. I always remember my one of my first agents, Stan Colbert, had said to me, he said, just try to remember, it's a benevolent dictatorship. And I said, can you elaborate? He said, listen to everybody. Listen to all of their opinions, because you never know who's going to have that brilliant idea. And just know that in the end, it's your decision. At least as a film director, not as a television director. It's a producer's decision there, but a film, it's predominantly the film is the director's, choice. And he said, yeah, it's a benevolent dictatorship. Listen to everybody. I thought it was great advice.
Yeah. So what's the genesis of those damn Canadians?
Oh, I don't know. I got my partner and I were laughing about Canadians in LA and blah blah blah, and I just started to write it, and I just wrote it. And I had a couple of friends, particularly Christopher Shire at the time, that I thought, Christopher Shire is one of the funniest actors that I know, and for some reason, I can hear him in my head. I can write him. It's one of those things that he's really easy for me to write. I get his rhythm. I hear it in my head. And so, it came from sort of funny ideas that we thought, oh, that would be funny. Let's see what happens. Let's put that together. So we did it. And then 7 years later, we decided, let's do season 2. Oh, no. The first time we did it, we weren't doing it as a web series. The first time we were trying to shoot a half-hour pilot, which we did. Shot a half-hour pilot. We edited it together, took it up to Canada. I tried to get Canadians to produce it, but they wouldn't produce it in the United States. It had to be in Canada. And I was like, yeah, but the whole point is it's in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a huge character in the piece. So we can't do Vancouver and pretend it's LA. There's too much stuff that has to be kind of outside and on location and all that stuff. Anyway, long story short, when nothing happened with it, then we decided, well, let's cut it down into a web series, because those were just being popular at that moment. And so our editor cut it down, and it wasn't shot as a web series, so they're 3 minutes long and 4 minutes long and stuff like that, these little episodes. And then we thought, well, let's shoot the other one. The second season, I actually wrote as a web series, so they're intended to be that way. But yeah, it was always really, really fun to do, and we shot it predominantly at our place in LA, and a bunch of Canadian actors and two Americans, and it was really, really fun to do. I have to say, it was great.
It sounds hilarious. I love Canadians. They're not easily offended. They're great people.
Yeah, no, they're not easily offended. And it's actually played the circuit and won awards all over the place. So that's been fun. Right.
Nice. So do you have anything upcoming?
I have just written a pilot for, among other people, Christopher Shire, that's called Camp Town, and it's about a single seniors community off the grid. And we're not quite sure where that's going. It's kind of a spec situation. We're about to shoot a proof of concept kind of sizzle reel thing for it. But it's been a lot of fun to write. In terms of acting stuff, off the top of my head, no. Doesn't mean there won't be, but these days the category that I'm in has never been top of the heap. But these days it's very, very low on the heap. So I don't think I need to be more specific than that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure things were a little dark, during the pandemic and everything. You didn't know what you were going to do next.
No, that's true. But also just, women of a certain age are not in high demand at the best of times. And these days, women of a certain age and a certain hue are definitely not in high demand. So that's, that's as it should be. Things are progressing in all kinds of directions, which isn't to say that I wouldn't like to do something, exciting coming up. That would be fun. But yeah, certainly the strike has certainly, and the pandemic, the combination of those two things certainly has left everybody reeling a bit, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, hopefully it's up and running again this year. So we'll see where we go.
That's fantastic. I'm glad you're still out there and doing what you love.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't think retirement is a word that comes to mind for most actors or artists of many, descriptions.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if Mary Beth told you that I would ask you this, but I'm curious to know, is your belly button an innie or an outie?
An innie.
Nice. Yeah, I love belly buttons, and I love letting people know that people who have innies, especially the deep ones, they tend to live longer because they're very kind and generous and giving.
Now, what happens if I said it was an outie? Then what do you say?
Someone asked me that recently. Maybe it was Mary Beth. I can't remember, but I actually don't know what happens. It's just I read something years ago that if people have deep innies, yeah, they tend to live longer.
That's very funny.
Yeah. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a total dream and an honor. And
well, thank you.
Yes, continue creating and doing what you love, and be safe out there, and hopefully you'll get some hot weather every day from now on.
Yeah, well, let's not go crazy. Not hot. I am Canadian. Let's go for nice lukewarm sunny.
Yes, absolutely. You have a great night. Be safe.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye-bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Sara Botsford. Ain't she a sweetheart? What a great lady, huh? And she's a true artist if ever there was one. And it's hard for an artist to survive out in Los Angeles, but she's got a gift, and she's taking it and running with it. Well, until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Liar, dudes!